Today's video, we're going to go through how to actually lose your love handles for good. So lose them and keep them off. All right. A lot of you guys struggle with your love handles. As you can see, I was able to go from this to this. So I'm going to go through exactly how you can lose your love handles, keep them off. No bullshit. A lot of you guys think that it's doing Russian twists. A lot of you guys think it's doing crunches. A lot of you guys think it's doing a water fast. That is not how you lose your love handles. And if you somehow lost them doing that, you're definitely not going to keep it off. So here we go. So the first thing is, like, a lot of you guys can't lose your love handles is because you're very impatient. Like I always say, like, your belly area and your love handles and your lower back are some of the last areas that you will actually lose fat. So if you want to lose fat in those areas, it's going to require consistency. It's going to require delaying gratification. It's going to require discipline. Obviously, you're going to need discipline, but also, like I said, inconsistency. And a lot of you guys have shiny object syndrome. You jump from fad to fad. You do keto, you lose 10 pounds and you gain 15 pounds back. And then you do a water fast, you lose 20 pounds and you gain it all back. And you're not doing anything that's actually lifestyle or long term. So that's going to be very hard in order for you to lose your love handles. Because like I said, it takes time to lose your love handles. For example, if you're like 25% body fat or 30% body fat, you're not going to lose your love handles by getting down to 20. Okay. Or getting down to 18. You're going to have to get down between 10 to 15 to really lose those love handles in that lower back, which is going to take time. Obviously, you can't go from 30 to 15% body fat in like 1 month, 1 week. And at the same time, it didn't take you 1 month or 1 week to gain all that fat. So you have to stop being inconsistent, stop chasing instant gratification with these different fads and having shiny object syndrome, guys. All right. So one of the most important things is going to be your mindset when it comes to this. Like I said, you want to delay gratification. You want to have discipline. You want to have your mind right. When your mental state is good, it's going to be easiest to get in your best physical state, right? Because when you change your mindset, your body's going to follow. So your mindset can go further than your body can. So mental is super, super important. Like I said, your mind can take you further than your body can. So for me, just reading like David Goggins' different books, seeing exactly what they went through, how hard their obstacles were, it makes me feel like my obstacles aren't as hard. Like if he can get abused and go through all that, I can definitely stay in a deficit and deal with 1 or 2 hunger pangs a few nights, right? No big deal, right? What I found works for me best, this is my personal routine. If you want to incorporate it, I definitely recommend that you do. It'll get your mind right. And when you win the morning, you win the day, guys. If you lose the morning, you already lost the day. So when you win the morning and you don't feel rushed, you feel like you took care of yourself, you feel like your mind you just feel locked in. A lot of that comes from, doing the morning routine. For me, it's reading 10 pages. Usually have a nonfiction kind of self-help book like Compound Effect, Atomic Habits. Those are really, really good books. Even this right here, Can't Hurt Me, Outwitting the Devil. These are just really good books that'll get your mindset right. Doing some yoga or meditation or both, that's going to get your mind really, really like calm. It's going to get you present in the moment, which is super important. And then, of course, saying gratitude so you can focus on positive instead of negatives, right? A lot of times we've lost 10 pounds, but we're focused on the fact that we're not at our goal. Say our goal is to lose 30 pounds, right? And we lost 10 pounds and we're like, oh, I only lost 10 pounds. I didn't lose 30. Just that attitude of not being grateful for what you did lose means you're not going to continue to lose weight, right? Because you're focused on the negative, not the positive, right? And then, of course, affirmations, because you really want to affirm your future self into existence. You got to speak your future self into existence, all right? Because nobody around you is going to do affirmations for you. Nobody around you is going to, necessarily believe in you until they see the results, right? So in order for you to get to that point, you got to make sure that you're saying your affirmations. And then reading over my goals is another big thing, because a lot of times when I was making some progress, like for example, started at 36-inch waist, my goal was like 30 to 29, somewhere in that range. So when I got to like 33, I still wasn't at my goal. I was a little bit frustrated. And then I realized, I'm like, wow, I'm closer to my goal than I was, a couple of months ago. So I need to focus on the fact that I'm making progress instead of the fact that I'm not at my goal yet, because obviously it takes time. All right. Next, shiny object syndrome. Like I mentioned earlier, this is a big one. All right. So this camera's kind of tripping right now. So there we go. That might be easier to focus on. Apparently not. But anyways, shiny object syndrome, like I said, continual state of distraction brought on by an ongoing belief that there's something new worth pursuing. It's kind of the grass is greener on the other side mentality. And a lot of you guys think that, you can lose weight faster doing this, so it must be better. A lot of times, if you lose weight faster, it's less sustainable, right? So for example, if you do keto and you lose 30 pounds in 3 months, I mean, that's good, but you're probably losing a lot of glycogen and a lot of muscle mass as well. And you're probably going to gain it all back. So say you do keto for 3 months and then you gain all the weight back, right? You lose 30 pounds and you gain it all back the next 2 months. 5 months down the line, you're literally at the same spot you started in, and you have a bad relationship with food. Versus somebody who loses 6 pounds per month for those same 5 months, they'll be down 25 pounds, right? And they'll have a better relationship with food. So make sure that you're not jumping from thing to thing and that you focus on one thing. Because whatever you put all your energy in, where your energy goes, your energy flows. So if you put all your energy into, nutrition that works for you and a workout plan that works for you, then you'll notice that you get the best results doing that, right? Consistency is going to be super important as well. So, like I said, if you focus on everything, you won't make progress in anything. If you focus all your energy on losing fat and progressively overloading, so strength training and calorie deficit, then you'll definitely make progress. All right. Next, a lot of you guys are way too focused on cardio. You guys ignore everything I say about making sure you do some strength training, and you guys just focus way too heavily on cardio. And here's the thing, guys. When it comes to strength training, that's going to make sure that you actually build muscle. That's going to make sure that, at rest, you're burning more fat as well. Because when you have more muscle, you'll burn more fat at rest, of course. And obviously, the tone look that you're looking for is going to come from strength training. But also, losing body fat everywhere will be easier when you're strength training. All right. It'll promote long-term fat loss, when you're gaining muscle. Because the more muscle you have, the more fat you burn, guys. So that's going to help with obviously losing fat everywhere, which includes your love handles. All right. So a lot of compound movements as well, they incorporate your core. All right. So your core will get stronger. And while you're in a calorie deficit at the same time, you'll notice that you're losing fat in that area. Obviously, it doesn't happen overnight, but it'll really, really, really help. So make sure you focus on the deadlifts, the squats, the goblet squats, the incline bench press, lunges, things like that. All right, so nutrition. This is definitely one of the most important ones. Like I said earlier, keto is not good for everybody unless you're doing this long term. Don't start it, okay? You want to be in a high protein calorie deficit, guys. And one of the ways to find your calorie deficit, of course, you can go to the calorie calculator, and that'll be very, very effective. It'll be pretty accurate for getting you a good calorie range. One thing you want to definitely start doing is to stop trying to starve yourself and then going right back to your old habits. A lot of you guys try to do keto for a couple of weeks, like I said, and then you're like, man, fuck this shit. And you go right back to your old habits, and then you wonder why you're not making progress because you're approaching nutrition with a short-term mindset, guys, instead of a long-term mindset. If it's going to be a lifestyle, right? If your goal is to lose 20 pounds, 1 year from now, your goal is to be down 20 pounds, right? So if you do keto 3 times, you lose 20 pounds each time, but you gain it back every single time. That is not successful, guys. That is failure. All right. So if you want it to be sustainable, just do something more sustainable. Still incorporate bread like I do. Still incorporate, fruits and vegetables like I do. You know what I mean? And you'll be totally fine. Slowly cut back on the things that are keeping you kind of hefty, which I would say mostly pastries, candy, and usually like alcohol, right? But still incorporate bread and carbs, of course. Just make sure you're in a deficit overall and that your protein intake is high. All right. So like I said, the main factors to lose and keep off, this says keep off, but keep off your love handles is going to be consistent calorie deficit. All right. That's one of the main things. Like obviously in the beginning, if you're in a calorie deficit, you're going to lose weight, but if you're not consistent, which most people are not consistent. That is why they're not losing the left handles. They might lose, because most of us lose like some arm fat first, a little bit of chest fat, you know what I mean? Some quad fat, you know what I mean? Some face fat. And it takes time for our love handles and our lower back to go away. But as you can see, it will happen with consistency. All right. Love handles and lower back, like I said, are one of the last areas to leave. So a lot of times it's kind of like that story of the dude who was 3 feet away from gold. He was digging for gold for a while and then he gave up and then he sold all his gear to somebody else. And that person who bought it dug 3 feet where that other person started and they ended up finding the gold. So that's kind of how it is when you guys are doing your calorie deficit. You guys are like, you guys are 3 weeks away from actually losing your love handles, but you're like, damn, this isn't working, when in reality it is. And you guys just give up, right? Consistency is one of the main factors. Who cares if you lose the weight but gain it all back, or lose the love handles and gain it all back? The most important thing is losing it and keeping it off, guys. So one more thing you want to do is add in steps, of course. Now, if you begin at like 3,000 steps when you start your cut, you don't want it to go below that. All right. So whatever you start your cut at, whatever your normal, amount of steps is, you want to make that your standard. So for example, if you're doing 5,000 steps a day, right, and you start your cut and you start feeling a little bit tired, so you cut it back to like 2,000 steps a day, that is a bad thing, guys. You don't want to decrease your activity level ever. If anything, you want to at least maintain. Most likely you want to increase it though. You know what I mean? So once you once you are, doing the strength training, you're eating pretty good, and you don't want to decrease your calories anymore. You're good where you are. Just increase your steps. So if you're doing 2K, increase it to 5K. If you're doing 5K, increase it to 8K. If you're doing 9K, increase it to 10 to 15K, right? So yeah, I started incorporating like 10K steps once a week at first, and then I went to 3 times per week at the peak, and now I usually do like 2 to 3 times. Honestly, that's like my normal. Um, if I'm eating super lean that week, then I'll probably just do like 1 or 2 days. All right. Now my regular cardio is always 10 minutes cardio before my workout. I usually put the treadmill on 5.0 incline, and then I do what 2.8, 2.9, just something super simple like that. Now my workouts are pretty intense. I take short breaks and I go really high intensity. Um, but yeah, I keep it pretty simple with the cardio just because I understand nutrition and I know that nutrition is one of the biggest factors. So I can do 10, 20K steps per day every single day, but if I eat like shit, it's not going to matter, right? All right. One of the most important things as well is not losing momentum. A lot of us, we like to put our foot on the gas. We're getting progress. We're feeling good. People are complimenting us, and we take our foot off the gas, right? So let's say that you're trying to go. The speed limit is 80, right? So you start at zero, obviously, and then you slowly get up to 80, right? And once you get to 80, obviously that's the speed limit. So you want to maintain that at least. But instead of maintaining that, we completely take our foot off the gas, and then we're at 70, then we're at 60, and we're at 50. And then we wonder why we're gaining weight and we're not feeling as good. We're feeling sluggish. Our clothes aren't fitting loose anymore. Now they're fitting tight. It's because you took your foot off the gas, guys. Like a lot of us, we get to where we want to get to by doing certain things. And then once we get to that place, we get comfortable and we stop doing those things that got us there, which is insane. All right. One more thing is, of course, weekends. All right. So a lot of us think that, weekends, it's literally a made up concept. I think of weekends and holiday very similarly. Like on weekends and holidays, we just like to literally not even take our foot off the gas, just like abandon the car altogether. Like we basically just like throw away the car. Like we literally just eat whatever, and we think calories don't count, and we binge eat and we drink liquor and we eat pastries and we forget about our nutrition and we just become a whole different person. And then Monday comes around and we wonder why we gained some weight, gained water weight, feel sluggish, feel bloated. It's because of your weekend habits. The weekend literally counts as days too. I count everything as a day. I don't call it a weekend. I don't call holidays because just because it's Christmas or Thanksgiving doesn't mean. I mean, it's up to you guys, of course. I just personally don't like feeling bloated and sluggish and heavy, right, all the time. So just because it's Thanksgiving week doesn't mean you have to binge for an entire week for no reason at all. Like, just imagine if they made a holiday April 1st to April 7th, and that was Thanksgiving. That would mean now everybody's going to binge from April 1st to April 7th. So instead of being like just having the sheep mindset and doing what everyone does, just literally stay consistent. Yes, you can have like one cheat meal if you want to, but I mean, what's going to get you the results is being consistent. So one cheat meal is fine, but eating good 90% of the time is what you're going to want to do. So if you have one cheat meal, get right back on track, right? Instead of just like, randomly binging every single weekend, because that's like a third of the year, right? If you just binge eat every single weekend and you drink every single weekend, that's like literally a third of a year. You're not going to get results eating good 65 to 70% of the time. I'm just going to be real with you, all right? Because even if you eat really good 65 to 70% of the time on the weekends, the amount of damage you could do is insane. Like you can literally, for example, if your goal is to eat 2,000 calories per day to lose fat, if you eat 2,000 calories for 5 days during the week, and then on the weekends you eat 4,000 calories per day, which is easier than you think when you're eating pastries, big brunches, fried foods, and drinking margaritas and things like that. So you eat 4,000 calories both those days. Now your weekly average is like 25, 2,600, somewhere in that range, which is closer to maintenance. So you might lose zero point 0.4 pounds or something like that instead of the 2 pounds that you would initially lost. Anyways, this was exactly how to lose your love handles and keep it off. If you guys are interested in one-on-one coaching, the link will be in the description. And if you follow all of these things, you're definitely going to lose your love handles. It's literally foolproof. You'll definitely lose it. Remember, consistency is key, guys.